And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China!
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China!
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China!
Russian.
Russia!
Italian.
Italy!
German.
Germany!
Swedish.
Sweden!
Korean.
Korea!
Egyptian.
Egypt!
Nigerian.
Nigeria!
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit, like God's property. It's hard to market, so we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics, with the KKK to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the race, the people known as the race black, really are.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
And you know what else, Jim? I just want to say this to our Christian friends, just to call it as it is and say it straight out, you guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us, because we all die for your sins every single day. And that's exactly what's going on here. Yeah. We're all God's firstborn. We're dying for your sins right now because the Jewish people in the land of Israel are the bulwark against the orcs. Mm-hmm. Okay? The orcs are coming not to a theater near you, but to your home.
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israelite, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time,
but
all that he said,
no, we don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews?
That's what the Zionists did, except instead of a baseball team, they went to try to convince the Jews that the Jewish people are a nation, like France and like Spain. We'll get a land, that's Israel, that's our stadium. We'll get baseball bats and balls, we'll create a language. They sat down to create a language because nations need languages. They sat down to create a language because nations need languages. They sat down to create a language. They sat down to create a language.
They sat down to create a language.
And we do have DNA tests, which, by the way, are banned in Israel. You're not allowed to get DNA tests in Israel.
Ladies and gentlemen, my DNA. No, I bet you thought it was going to be a lot crazier than that, right? Now you might ask yourself, why is it illegal to obtain this in the state of Israel? Because it proves through your DNA that Jews around the world have no ancestral ties to the land of Israel. But according to Israeli law, the fact that I have Jewish blood gives me more right to somebody's home and land in the land of Palestine than somebody that has been there for hundreds of years. Doesn't make sense.
There are Ashkenazi Jews who are entirely European in their DNA. That's why you're not allowed to have a DNA test in Israel, because it will reveal that virtually none of them are Semitic, virtually none of them have any ancestral connection to the land. I was viciously assaulted by a manager in the BBC who had recently converted to Judaism. It's fine. I love all religions. But you can't say I've now converted to Judaism and therefore I have a right to go to the land of Palestine and live in the house of someone whose ancestors have been living in it for thousands of years.
Is there a reason that the Jewish people that represent, and I want to get back to this because you didn't let me finish a while ago, they represent 0.2% of the world's population. In the entirety of the world, there are about 16 million Jews total. And 8 million of them live here. The rest live mostly in New York or South Florida and a few other places.
Okay.
So this is a small population of people. They have connection to this land historically, biblically.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
If Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense?
How do we know that?
Do you have his family tree? No, we don't.
Do you?
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
You can convert to Judaism. You can't convert to a blood family. You cannot convert to a race. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
Stop telling people you're chosen. You are not chosen to do ish except within the synagogue of Satan.
A bunch of Aryan-looking people that comes from Eastern Europe and pretends that God gave them the land 2,000, 3,000 years ago. Right? And oh no, we're the real Jews.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to you guys. Want to apologize for jumping on extremely late. I had redid my entire presentation, literally. I was going to go one direction and decided to shift. I could still go there, but I really want to really delve into the topic, the true Lego meaning. Just really discuss some things that I'm pretty confident many who, especially from within our community, that are, pumping up this whole Lego thing. And, many of our brothers and sisters are under this belief that, for example, the Iranian community has our best interests, and any other community. So I decided that instead of going the normal, the regular course I was going to go, because I touched on some of this a week ago um, on Sunday night, but I decided to shift from what I did Sunday night. Let me just do something real quick before we get started. Let me make sure I put some things in place here, make sure nothing got erased, because a lot of things, some crazy things is happening on YouTube when it comes to my account. I'm not going to get into all the details tonight. I touched on it briefly earlier this week. Let me see here. Let me do something real quick. Let me just check something here. All right. Just want to make sure that the settings for this video is set. All right. Let me go into here. All right. All right. Okay. Let me do one more thing here. Bear with me 1 second. All right. Let's see here. Bear with me 1 second. Just want to make sure I do one thing. All right. There we go. Let me take this one out. All right. Everything looks like it's set. So just want to make sure that we're good for us, the settings here. And decided to do a discussion. I know that I didn't really put a lot of time in terms of pre-scheduling this live, but it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and get into it. As you can see here, this whole lesson is about what is the whole root, what is behind this whole Lego agenda that we see, and should we, as a community, be promoting anyone, for that matter? Should we be encouraging or promoting any group, for that matter, outside of our community first? Because it seems to me, from my observation, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but we tend to jump on the bandwagon when it appears like someone either say that we're the people of the book, or insinuate that we're the people of the book, or any country that appears to be going against the United States, right? We think that they have our best interests. The countries that are going against the United States, it seems as if we just erase all history of that, what that country had done to our people, that history of the country that helped contribute to our plight. Have you guys noticed that? It's like whether it's Putin with the fake Russian icon video that was circulating, all of a sudden, so many within our community start pumping up Putin. It's this thing that I see a lot within this awakening. Have you guys noticed that? It seemed like we just jump on the bandwagon, no matter who it is. They could just say Babylon, and then before you know it, people are jumping on the bandwagon. And this whole thing with I've seen on Facebook posts, I've seen posts on YouTube, even believing that the Iranians, in terms of supposed the Persians, that the Most High is using them for us. They've never done anything wrong to our community. The Iranians, they have their plight, but I already proved that the so-called connection to the ancient Persians, we already discussed that. But regardless, let's just say hypothetically they are. But I want to prove to you with scripture that for us as a people, we should not be promoting anyone, but start within. not getting caught up with the prophecies, because you guys, one thing you probably notice here, I really don't do a lot of end time prophecy stuff. Why? Because, unfortunately, many that do teach this end time prophecy, they're teaching it from the eschatology of the church. And I can go right down and tell you key points that come directly from the Roman Catholic Christian Church. And one of the things that we see when we start looking at the eschatology, taking every passage, let's just say Babylonian related prophecy, Egyptian, Roman, you name it, and they'll take that prophecy and apply it, continue to reapply it every time something happens in Northeast Africa, now known as the Middle East or the Levant. They'll reapply certain passages that can be proven already been fulfilled. Have you guys noticed that? It seemed like we go in this never-ending cycle. Whenever something goes on in Northeast Africa, all of a sudden you see, prophecy. All of a sudden, hey, this is end-time prophecy. I've seen a number of Christian platforms teach this thing, believing that, okay, end-time prophecy, look, the Antichrist, look, the anti, but yet they don't follow the law, statutes, and commandments. They don't honor Shabbat. They don't honor any of that, but yet they think that they have the inside scoop on the prophecies. Come on, family. It's just that simple. So let's go and get into it, family. I'm not sure if Berean Scholar is in the building. I know I was supposed to go live a little earlier, but if he is, I'll drop the link here in a second here. I'm just going to go ahead and get this plane off the runway into the air, and I'll drop the link if you are still in the building. So let's get into it. The true meaning, the true Lego meaning. Let me start off with this here. Okay, I see you, Berean Scholar. I'm gonna drop the link here, and then I'll bring you here, bring you in a second here. So the true Lego meaning, the true Lego meaning. Let's start with this avatar, right? Right, the meaning of avatar, where it comes from. Now, many of you may not know that the whole Avatar movie, for us, the so-called individuals, the avatars, the people, right, that they targeted, right, whatever they call them, Navi or whatever, they actually got literally hijacked the identity of, I believe it's a group of Somalians. Hijacked the appearance and all from a group of people in Africa. I believe it was Somalians. But let's see what this word avatar means, right? Because when we start understanding these different things, you start seeing how spirits make a world of a difference when you start understanding the origins of a number of things, like avatars, right? Avatars, as you see here, descent. This is the Etymology Dictionary definition of avatar. It says descent of a Hindu deity to earth in an incarnate or tangible form. It goes on to say descent, off, down, crosses over. He crosses over. All right. Let's continue here. So let's take it a step further. Give you a little more historical information on it real quick. So when you understand avatar in Sanskrit, right? It's a Sanskrit word for the same soul reincarnated in a new body. Right. So this is dealing with reincarnation, right? And we see that in the movie Avatar, right? You had soldiers who were able to take their spirit and put it into a new body. Is that not the movie Avatar? They were able to take their spirits, take their soul, and through a mechanism, transition it into an avatar, a genetically created body. And one of the individuals, right, the main character, he was able to, through their god or goddess called Awa, was able to transition from his body to an avatar permanently. So when you see that word avatar, and with you understanding what avatar is, this gives you more clarity on the movie itself. Reincarnation. All right, let's keep it going. So what's the origins of Legos? What's the origins of Legos? Should we get caught up in the controlled propaganda? Should we get caught up in it? Should we get caught up in the Legos propaganda? I really wasn't going to touch on this, but then it got to a point I started seeing, my cousin Benaya did a video on the Legos, right? And I saw people in the comment section. I didn't want to troll the comment section. Some of the people within the comment section stating how the people in Iran has our best interests. That they have not done anything negative towards our community. Now, I'm making it clear. I'm not saying that my cousin was promoting that, because he wasn't. But because of, some of the comments that I saw, it just didn't sit well with me. That's what triggered me to doing this. And then I started seeing it on Facebook. I started seeing, actually, I even had a few people post comments inside my comment section before I even did anything on it about the Iranians, and I just removed them. So that's what triggered me to really get into the discussion about the Legos, not from a perspective of promoting this, but from a perspective of making sure we don't fall for the okie doke. Okay? So should we, again, get caught up in the controlled propaganda? I'm here to tell you no. Let's start with Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1 through 6. And we're going to use this passage, right, to show, for example, the Persians. Let's see the role that the Persians play inside this passage. This is a prophecy here. This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verses 1 through 6. Look at what it says. And some of you guys may be familiar with this prophecy, but many don't go beyond the first couple of passages of this chapter. But I'm going to take you a little further. We're going to go a little deeper. We're going to go beyond the surface, right, of the water. And it reads, "And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him." It goes on to say, "And say, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine armies, horses and horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords." Verse 5, Persia. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why do we see Persia here? It says Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarma of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Now, we see the Persians here. Whose side are they taking? Are they for Israel? Is this entire passage is for those that, when we get to these particular verses here, are we dealing with these people here supposed to be allies of Israel? Are they supposed to be allies of Israel? Come on, family. It's right here. Let's roll it back a little bit. Let's roll it back. Let's make sure we read it in its proper context. "And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him." And keep in mind, Meshech, Tubal, these are Russians. This is Russian territory. This is Moscow. Remember, I did a whole lesson pinpointing who's who. So we see that the Persians are going to be connected to it. We see Ethiopia, even though, let's just go with that. Let's go with that. Let's just say the Iranians are the Persians. Does this give this passage here? It says, and thus saith Yahweh Elohim, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with them, all of them with shields and helmets, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Does this have anything to do with Israel? Does this mean that these groups here are fighting for us? Are they fighting for us according to these passages? That's a question that we have to ask. This passage should give you clarity. But again, just want to share this passage, this prophetic passage, and so that way we can put things in this proper perspective. Put things in this proper perspective. Let me do something. I see something here. Let me make sure here. Let me see here. Let me see if I see Berean Scholar here. Yeah, I see him in the back. All right. I want to say peace and blessings to you, Berean Scholar.
Peace and blessing, my brother.
All right. I know I went on kind of late here. My apologies. I kind of redid the whole lesson. I was going to go in one direction. I decided it was like, you know what? Let me take it a little further than what I initially mentioned to you. And if we have time, I'll touch on those things. But I really want to really peel back the layers.
Well, let's get into it, brother.
All right. So I'm just going over a key piece of prophecy because, again, a lot of spaces are believing that these countries, these territories, let's just say Persia, let's just say if the Iranians are Persia, right? We don't even have to get into the details of that, right? Let's say if they are connected to the ancient Persians, right?
Right.
But we see Persia here being allies of Israel, or are they adversaries of Israel? This entire prophecy is about those that are what? Coming against Israel. So you have the Persians, Ethiopia, Libya with them. And then it goes on to say Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah. Right? And when we dealt with Togarmah, excuse me, we dealt with many of the Turks of today. So what am I saying here, family? This passage and others are making it clear we cannot trust anyone. These are not allies. These are what? These are who? Adversaries. Okay, let me give you some additional clarity because whenever I do touch on end time prophecy, I start with the words of Christ. I start with Hamashiach. I don't work backwards and work my way forward because if you do, you will begin to take prophecies that had already been fulfilled. Because even the Messiah said in Matthew 24, he prophesied the falling of Israel, Jerusalem, and it being sacked, and he gave an anchor to the book of Daniel. In Matthew 24 deals with 3 times of afflictions. Sorrows, the beginning of sorrows, the Great Tribulation, and then another key prophecy I'm going to break down to you real quick before we get into the main portion of the lesson. So we already see Persian, right? We see the Persians. They're in cahoots with Magog. So we already see that here. They're not allies. They are what? Adversaries. Okay? So look at here. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself. Thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So we got to be prepared, family. Not to be prepared from a perspective of thinking that everyone is our allies. We got to be prepared from a perspective that anyone can what? Flip the script on us. They can look one way and be totally the opposite. Come on, family. I grew up in a certain neighborhood, and in that neighborhood, once you get outside your house, it was like anything go. People could be for you or against you. We were never taught once we leave the house that everyone is on our side. We were taught that me and my brothers and sisters, we all had to stick together, no matter what. Once we got outside this house, don't trust anyone. Am I right, Berean Scholar? Did you have that same lecture?
You're so right. You're so right, because we have to be aware now. We are so wanting to be accepted. We let our guards down too many times, and we need to walk in discernment.
Right? And think about it. When we was dealing with our brothers and sisters, I want to make this clear. If you choose to move to any other country outside this country, you're well within your means. The problem that I had with some were trying to push this flee doctrine, but placing fear into people for them to move and leave this country and go to, for example, Africa, as if many of these countries in Africa is like a safety net for us, a form of a salvation type thing. But then when you see here, some of what countries in Africa is going to go against us.
Yes.
That's what this prophecy is saying. So it says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself. It didn't say try to make become allies with any of them. It told us to what? Prepare ourselves. Prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So we have to protect the people. We have to be ready to fight. See, this is where, for me, I get a little sensitive about how certain things are taught, right, when it comes to prophecy, because I'm a former military soldier. And I've been in many of the places that people are talking about. I've been to Kuwait. I've been to Bahrain. I didn't go to Iran, but I've been to that territory. You know, I worked in places that many people only read about or see in the movies. I worked in many places, not getting into the details of it. So when I see certain things, it's because, and I respond a certain ways because I see that our people are not seeing things from a military perspective. Here, this is telling, when it says here, be thou prepared and prepare thyself, this is starting with the prophet himself, Ezekiel, to be on guard. This is dealing with leadership. If you are truly a watchman, you are not promoting something from a perspective of you're in wartime trying to see who is your allies. Your first thing is to take care of who? Your own. But we see the reverse thing here. We're trying to see, as you pointed out, who cares about us, who loves us, who embraces us. When we can look at historical documents and prove that every country have come against us. It's just a reality. Starting with the Iranians, they were pillars in the Arabic slave trade that was the precursor to the transatlantic world war. And they literally wrote that out of their own history. If you're really gonna be for us, then just be honest. Why can't you share that part of the history? Go ahead, Berean Scholar.
You own it, bro. You own it. The word tells us throughout that nobody's going to come and redeem us. Nobody. And our people has consistently wanted to be like everybody else. We want a king like everybody else. We want to serve like everybody else. So you're right.
Now, let me give a key prophecy here, because remember, I said we got to start with Christ, right? And this should be Matthew 24, chapter 24, verse 27 through 30. Let me give you a key piece of prophecy so that way we can tie this back into Ezekiel, right? Because Ezekiel 37, right, is key. Look at this here. Matthew 38, verse 27 through 30. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For whosoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Verse 29, immediately after the what? Tribulation. So we see the time of sorrows at the beginning of the chapter. Then we see another period of affliction, which is referred to as the Great Tribulation or the Tribulations. Now we see another period here. It says, as you see here, what it says, my brother, it says what? Immediately after the tribulation of those days. So now it's transitioning into another period here. It says shall the sun be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. But here's kicker. And then shall appear the sign. Now we're going to start seeing signs. You know, I that's why I don't really get caught up in the trying to go into this Gog and Magog and all these different things every time something happened in Northeast Africa. Because you could be doing this for the next 100 years if you're not careful. You could be doing this every quarter. Something different comes up. Oh, no. That we have to be careful of being the ones that are promoting rumors of wars, in which the Messiah, Hamashiach, warned about. But look at here, it says, and then shall appear. So after the tribulation, then shall appear the sign. Ath is the ancient pronunciation, or Atha, which means proof, evidence. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So we see some conditional statements here, because when you see "and," that is a continuation. So there's certain conditions, but immediately after the Great Tribulation, right, we're going to start seeing signs. Now, I believe when you start understanding the three periods of time that we see specified for Israel, you have the night watches. Not going to get into the details of it. And I believe that we are in the ninth watch, right? Because now we see so much is happening. This is ninth watch, right? I'll do another lesson on that. But we're seeing things now. We transitioned, right? We all agree that even this country agree about the 400 years of what? Being in this country, right? But something happened. A paradigm shift occurred. COVID took place. We saw some things that we never thought we would ever live to see. There was a shift, right? So now with that being said, did we not shift to another time of affliction? See, none of us know the time of the day. And I don't want to make it seem like I do, because the Messiah said he doesn't know. But we can start seeing certain signs because of what? The climate that we see around us. So it says here, and this is key right here. It says, and then shall all the tribes of the earth. This is referring to Israel, family. Earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. But we're going into another transitional period of what? Mourning. That means we're being afflicted, right? If we're mourning, we are being afflicted. And what's the key to this word here before we go into the other stuff? Look at the Greek word for mourn, the definition of this word mourn in this passage. We see kopto, right? And it says here to chop, beat the breast in grief, cut down, lament, mourn, wail, bewail. This is the kicker when we get to the sub entries here. Entry number 1, to cut, strike, smite. But this is the key. Entry number 2, cut off.
Wow.
To cut from. Now, in this election cycle, have we not seen our people start feeling like we don't have no hope in nothing? We've been betrayed over and over again, right? Even the Spanish community, right, should understand our plight, right? And what's happening even right now. A lady went viral down in Houston, Texas, for her racial slur. She was a Mexican. She was a police officer. Went viral because of her racial slurs towards our community. What happened during this election cycle? You see the Democratic Party, now you're starting to see the Republican Party asking, where are the black people? Normally, we always showing up to talk about things and protesting things. But this go round, when you see our community realizes, like more and more we starting to realize, it doesn't matter if it's the Democrats, it doesn't matter if it's the Republicans, it doesn't matter if you're independent, we are cut off. None of them care about us. Now we start understanding that Michael Jackson was more radical than people think he was. That's why they're trying to suddenly swift boat his movie.
Thank you.
Now all of a sudden they're trying to bring up stuff that even the federal government investigated him for 10 years, did not find a single credible piece of evidence that he violated any child. And even the case that he settled that because he would have had done more damage to his reputation than just settling that. And that's what people start preying on superstars. So many superstars will settle just so that way it doesn't taint their reputation. But even then, once you settle one, others start trying to go by that playbook. And what happened? Michael Jackson said, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not settling any more cases. And what happened? He was investigated for 10 years and they found not a single thing against him. So now suddenly they bringing this stuff back up.
Pastor, I'm glad you brought that up because that's the playbook. They tried, this is coming back. People are realizing what they, to celebrate what happened to him, his talent. And immediately they said, nope, we got to throw dirt on his name.
Why? Because Michael Jackson owned the Beatles. He owned Elvis masters. He owned Eminem's masters. He owned Boyz II Men masters. He was basically the most powerful man in the music industry. He owned Sony. Not only are they trying to swift boat him, suddenly an accusation pops up saying that someone got assaulted by Jermaine Jackson in 1988. See, Michael Jackson was on to something when he said they don't care about us. He was talking about the 1948ers. Many of you guys may not even know when you see Hands Across America, right? Michael Jackson sued that community that was the 1948ers that was pushing that. He sued them. Anyway, let me get back to this.
No, that's part of the issue, because what we need to know, we need to look at these things that's been put out because they try to persuade and control the narrative. And it's just like we talk about with this Lego thing. They're controlling the narrative.
Let me make this clear. I see someone posting, moderators, if you see anyone post any type of cursing in the chat, you're entitled whether you're going to watch it or not. We're not here promoting the movie, but what we're doing is we're explaining why this setting swift boat. If you choose not to watch it, don't watch it, but do not post any cursing inside the comment section. All right. Do not post any cursing, profanity inside the comment section. All right. We're not promoting the movie Michael Jackson, but we're showing you the tactics behind it. So you do as you will, but we're just showing the tactics here. All right. And explain it to you why Michael Jackson took the stance that he took and why suddenly we see this swift boat happening. They waited to just before the release of the movie. We could go to other movies. They did the same thing too, like Birth of a Nation.
Mm-hmm.
They waited till all the way till the movie was about to release, and then they came up with something, and it's passed in college. Anyway, so look at here, family. So we see this word "kopto." It means cut off. Now let's connect this to Ezekiel. right? And this will give you clarity exactly what this means. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 11. All right. I see a question here real quick. I just gave you the passage, right? The scripture says after the great tribulation. So that means the tribulation has to come to the end. It can't reset itself. See, when you start dealing with these the end time prophecy, eschatology, according to the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, we're waiting for the tribulation to begin. Actually, there was the tribulation that we see according to Scripture, Matthew 24. The very first one was the time of a beginning of sorrows. And then when you scroll down after the beginning of sorrows, then that's the destruction of the temple. That's the destruction of Jerusalem. That is the sacking of that of Israel, right? And I'm not going to go to the details here because I don't want to get sidetracked here. But then guess what? And then it talks about verse 15. He talks about Daniel. He's really now cementing. He's anchoring what that portion of the prophecies are about. Then from there, we see here, when we get down to verse 21, he says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as not was since the beginning of the world. Now he's dealing with another time of what? Affliction. Now we're getting into the transatlantic world war, that period. We're getting into the Arabic slave trade. We're getting into the India slave trade. We could also talk about the Asian slave trade that that dealt with our people. That's how many of our people, when the Romans sacked Jerusalem, many of our people fled to India. This is where you get the Kokan Israelites there. They get over there, right, about the 3rd, 4th century, because when Rome sacked Israel, it wasn't just they just stopped at the 70 AD. That was like 150 years of persecution. Israelites fled to India. India at that time was known as Kush. It was part of Ethiopia, East Ethiopia. So they were there like between the 3rd and 4th century AD. Then it was almost 1,000 years later during the Spanish Inquisition where Europeans made their way out there, hijacking an identity that didn't belong to them and brought what? Affliction out there to our brothers and sisters. So now we deal with we dealt with Arabic slave trade and all of that stuff. We're dealing with the transatlantic world war. That's really what it was. And now we see the climax of that, and we were still dealing with the ramifications of that, right? We still being persecuted to this day, right? We still coming on the short end of the stick, but now we transition to what? Another time of affliction. That's what Christ said. He said, after the what? Great tribulation. Now we see another mourning period. While we're mourning, we feel like, hey, we're cut off. So I want to make sure we're clear on that. I'm not going to go back over that. That's a whole different discussion. I just gave you an in-depth, quick summary of Matthew 24 from the proper perspective. So that's, in a short period of time. But there's lessons on the channel that deals with this. All right. So I want to make sure that we understand that now we're dealing with, when Christ says here, after the great tribulation, he said, after the tribulation, now it says that all the nations, we're dealing with the Israelites, right? Scattered around the world. They're going to what? Mourn. They're going to, and that word kopto means what? Cut off. Now we're going to start cutting ourselves off, realizing that all hope is lost. Tying into Ezekiel 37:11, and it reads, then he said unto me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Yashara'al. In other words, Israel. See, Israel in this passage, when you look at it, said they were dry, very dry. In other words, the prophet didn't even recognize that these are Israelites. They didn't even look like themselves. Are we not looking at it right now? The true Israelites are not really being recognized. And the true Israelites are feeling like we are cut off. We have lost hope. We got people that hijacked our identity. We see all these different layers of systemic racism. We see the rallying cries with our face being placed on it like the DEI nonsense. Are we not seeing that right now? Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Yashara'al, Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried. In other words, it says this is really dealing with confusion. They are saying that we're confused. We are very confused, and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts. In other words, we by ourselves. We don't even have a territory to go back to. We can't even say that this is our home. We can say that this is our home territory, but we can't go back to it. We can't go back to it and say we are the true people of the book, and you guys know it, and we could just go ahead and with the law of return go to Israel. You guys know we can't do that. Everything that we even created, we created a culture here to try to make things conducive to us, like breakdancing, pop locking. Who hijacked it? Now you watching So You Think It Could Dance. You got a European that's trying to tell someone that's from the streets who can pop, lock, and all of that, saying, well, you should have popped when you should have locked. What? In my DMX voice, what?
Never thought I'd say this, though.
And we came up in that generation. We from
Yes, we did.
the 70s and 80s. I grew up learning how to pop lock and break dancing on cardboard on cardboard boxes, not mattresses. I was flipping on the dirty mattresses, but I was pop locking. I was break dancing. I was doing my windmill. I was doing my backsliding, because it wasn't moonwalk. It was actually called backsliding before Michael Jackson made it popular. We was doing all of those things. Now, here it is now. You would think that other people created it. Isn't that what everything from inventions to other music genres? You would think that rock and roll was created by Europeans. Berean Scholar, anything you want to share?
You're on it, man, because everything that we have done out of oppression, out of anguish, we came up with something beautiful, and then it's taken. If you did any study of history, anything that we expressed ourselves in, they took it and marketed it and put their face on it.
Family, even famous art from like Mozart and all of that. They stole that style from different tribes in Africa.
Picasso.
Exactly. Picasso, another one.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with the Yoruba. That's a fact, family. So our hope is lost. Are we not feeling dejected right now? Are we not feeling like, man, we're not showing up? That now, we're in a bad state when you have our people, especially in the Democratic community, will show up and march for everything now. Are we showing up now? We're not showing up. What happened? They were saying, hey, where's where the blacks for DEI? Because they cutting the welfare, they cutting this, they cutting that. We used to having things cut. We used to having promises broken to us. We used to having to adjust on the fly. Anyway, let's continue, family. I know I spent more time here than what I wanted to, but it is what it is. It was needed.
Yes.
What's the origins of the Legos? What's the origins of this? Let's go to the etymology dictionary definition of Lego. Right? We're going to pick this thing apart here. It says here, Lego, proprietary name, right, in use since 1934, according to the company, from Danish phrase leg godt. In other words, play well. It says the founder, Danish businessman Ole Kirk Christensen, gives his date of when he lived, didn't realize until later that the word meant I study or I put together. I put together in Latin. So he put this together, not really understanding what it meant. But we see leg godt. Now, it stood out for me, right? Because I make it a point to study languages. Right? Why did this stand out to me? Right? The word Lego is a combination of two Danish words, leg and Got, G-O-D-T, right? So let's go to this tree of languages here real quick, right? And we said that it's a Danish word. So when we understand Danish, and we see here this is the Proto-Indo-European tree of languages, and we see 4 major trunks. So it's saying that it's broken down into 4 major categories. You guys see that? We see Anatolian, we see Celto, Italo-Tarkarian. Then we see here Balto, Slavo, Germanic, and then we see Ariano, Greco-Armenic, right? So we see this trunk here that we're going to follow here, right? This Germanic trunk, and it breaks up into 2, Proto-Germanic, and we have Proto-Balto-Slavic. But we're going to follow the trunk here, the Germanic trunk. And if we go up this Germanic trunk, because language will tell you so much, family, so much. We see this trunk now divides into, this branch divides into 2. We see Western Germanic, we see Northern Germanic. Right now, if we stay to the Northern Germanic, we see Scandinavian, and then it's broken into what? 4 parts, 4 different languages, but it's still all part of ultimately the Germanic language, which is what? The Norse language. The Norse. This is where you start getting into the Norse religion, like their deities like Thor and Odin and all of that. Not getting into the meat and potatoes of that, not just going to keep it on the surface. So we see here, we see Danish. We're still part of what? Overall, it's a what? Germanic language. And then when we see here, the Western Germanic, we see English, Frisian, High German. We see Low German, Dutch, Flemish. So yeah, that's right, family. The English language is a Germanic language and is heavily saturated with the Norse acknowledgement of their deities, starting with a key word that we're going to touch on here in a second. So I want you to see that Danish is part of what? It's underneath it falls under the Proto-Germanic language, trunk of languages, ultimately the Proto-Indo-European. All right? Okay. So I just want to show you guys here, so you can see an illustration, see a visual of where we're going at with this. Now, hold on to that word, right? G-O-D-T, God, right? Now we see this word God. Who is God? Okay. Let's go to the etymology dictionary definition of the word God, right? We see here supreme deity, supreme being, deity, the Christian God. Now, truth be told, we know that the ancient Israelites never used this word. We know that they didn't start using this word for as the church started applying this word to through the Catholic Church, forcing them to remove the Most High's name, even in their transliterations, to put the word God, to put the word Lord, these Norse acknowledgments. It's the Roman Catholic Church that forced your translations right now to say God. I didn't put all that here because I didn't want to get into too much of the details here, but it's a lot. We already taught on this before. So we see here Proto-Germanic, right? Then we see the word Gothen, right? Or so this would be pronounced like similar to a hard K, got, right? Like how we say got. It'd be kat, all right? But anyway, so we see some different variants here. We see God, Dutch. We see Got, German, High German, right? In other words, North German. Then we see Got, G-O-T-T. But Old Norse it all points out to, connects to what? The Norse language and religion or belief system. So God is the singular, right? And Gater is the plural. And what this means is this word God and Gater points to mortal deities that are going to die. That's what God and Gater, they are mortal deities. So how are we placing this, connecting this to the Father? We don't see his name, for the most part, hardly mentioned in any of these transliterations. Whether you agree with whatever, if they say Yahweh, whatever, you don't even see, you may see the short form Jah, right? But they don't even put the proper short form there. So God is singular, Gater is plural. So when we look at the origins of Got, and I'm just going to say, I'm not going to say it here because it could be used as a slang, but Got D, right? The D word. You guys heard this slang before. So when we go to the etymology of the definition of Gater Dameron, you'll understand the origins of that slang, Got D. Look at what it says here. In the figurative sense of complete overthrow, Gater Dameron, literally twilight of the gods. So this is what? This is, when you understand the Norse religion, this is an apocalypse for their deities. Right? So dusk, twilight, temerity, all right? The doom or destruction of the gods, the last day, world's end, okay? So when we go to the deeper discovery of this phrase here, going into the shadows of the gods, often erroneously called the twilight of the gods, the Teutonic doomsday, when all the old gods would be destroyed and reabsorbed by their great goddess Skadi, the shadow. So this is dealing with all the deities. When you see this word got, this is dealing with mortal deities who's going to die. Now, while we're connecting this word, allowing them to connect this word to the Most High, and unfortunately, many of our brothers and sisters, no matter how much this truth is there, they still want to what? Promote the word God. Any comments, Berean scholar?
Keep going, brother. Keep going.
All right. So we dealt with GODT. We dealt with GOTT. Now we need to deal with gospel. We need to deal with goder or gooder or cotter, right? Let's deal with this word here. And we're going to bring it all together, family. Gospel. Glad tidings announced by Jesus. One of the four gospels, literally good spell. Now that should be a red flag, good spell. And I know some people would try to say that, oh, you know what? The word gospel does not mean good spell. Well, you see it here, good spell. And I'm going to prove to you that the word gospel really means good spell. Right? And as we see here, it says reward for bringing good news. And family, this major push to push this word gospel, because growing up, we didn't say gospel in church. We said good news. I grew up in the Baptist church. We never said the word gospel. We said good news. Well, what is this push for gospel again? Where did this come from? You could Google this. You could look this up. Am I right, Berean scholar?
Ever since I was in grade school, it was always the good news.
It was always the good news.
Right.
But suddenly it changed over the past 20 years, maybe 30 years. Now we start seeing gospel. Why? We see here good spell, right? And it goes on to say, reward, bringing good news. See evangel. It goes on to say the first element of the Old English word originally had a long O, but it shifted under mistaken association with God or got, right? So they confused the word as if it was what? God's story. An example, the history of Christ. This mistake was very natural. Yeah, right. As a resulting sense was much more obvious, appropriate than that of good tidings, for a word which was chiefly known as the name of a sacred book or a portion of liturgy, right? Now, it's, when we understand here in this definition here, it says, a key quote here says, first element of the Old English originally had an O sound, a long O, but it shifted under mistaken association with the word got, right? So now let's deal with spell real quick. And I'm going to show you why I'm bringing all of this together. Spell, story, right? Saying, tale, history, narrative, fable, discourse, command, right? And then we see spill in the Gothic, it says report, discourse, tale, fable, myth, right? So where are we going at with this? I'm going to show you here. Set of words set of words with supposed magical or occult power or powers, incantation, charm, first recorded in 1570s. Hence, any means or cause of enchantment. The term spell is generally used for magical procedures which cause harm or force people to do something. Now, I could point out the deception in this definition here because it says here from the 12th century as an utterance, something said, a statement, remark, right? Meaning set of words with supposed magical power. So I'm going to really pick this apart here because it says first recorded in the 1570s, hence any means or cause of enchantments. So this is a very deceptive definition here because I'm going to prove to you that the word God spell, right, or good spell was always part of the Norse culture. Culture precedes and predates dictionaries. Let me say that again, because just because you find something in a dictionary doesn't mean that that's the origin, that's the original rather. Whatever dates that they calculate, that's just what the Roman Catholics began to use when they created a dictionary. They began to put these dates there, but the culture of the Norse religion far exceeds these lexicons. Just like the Bantu dictionary, right? Guess who put it together? It was a Baptist reverend, Caucasian, who put the Bantu dictionary lexicon together. Those words existed well before he even touched it. The culture existed. Does that make sense to everyone? So just because we're going to, for example, this etymology dictionary and it's giving us some dates, but the culture predates it. So I'm here to tell you, I'm going to prove to you the word good spell existed well before this dictionary here, before this entry here. And I'm going to prove it here. Look at here. Let me go here. Does spell simply mean stories, or does it truly mean magical or occult powers, incantation, charms? Well, the etymology dictionary date meanings by first written attestation, not by first usage. Let me say that again. The etymology dictionaries date means by first written attestation. In other words, the first time you see its usage in literature actually being written, but not by first usage. Does that make sense, everyone? So this means what I'm saying is this word was a part of the culture well before a dictionary was created. All right. So Bragi in Norse traditions is literally the god of poetry. Let me say that again. Bragi in Norse traditions is literally the god of poetry, eloquence, storytelling, more specifically charms and enchantments, predates the etymology dictionary's date and first usage, right? That's why I say I'm gonna pick that apart. So is Bragi simply the god of stories in the Norse tradition, G-O-T-T? To properly answer this question, it starts with the Norse goddess Idun, right? Let's see who Idun is. Idun, Norse goddess called the renewing one. In her western garden, she grew the apples of immortality, which gave the gods eternal life. When her apples were stolen, the gods began to wither and grow old like mortals. Okay? Idun's name, possibly a feminine forerunner of Odin, could have been derived from Greece, mountain shrine Ida, sacred to Rhea, or her alter ego Hera, who kept the apples of immortality. Now you kind of see when people try to call that forbidden fruit an apple, that's influence of who? The Greeks. Because the scripture never says that the forbidden fruit was an apple. Any comments on Berean scholar?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That one. That was a good one. Now I had to stand up and take notes on that one.
So, family, we see the Greek, we see the Norse influence, even on how we are hearing interpretations of the scriptures. The scriptures never said what type of fruit it was.
Exactly.
It just said it was what? A forbidden fruit. But how many of you guys heard the usage, the apple? It was an apple. Or you see the movies or whatever, when they depict Adam and Eve, they have what? An apple.
And Pastor,
Any comments, Berean Scholar?
That's a key point there, because we have to be diligent as how we divide the word of truth, because there are influences in the actual translation of the word. The word itself was given it was written by Hebrew people to Hebrew people, but we have a interpretation, especially in the New Testament, that twisted some things to fit their agenda. So that's why we have to know that we know the Torah, the basic of the Hebraic thought, so we can see things and say, wait a minute, that don't fit our people. We need to investigate this more.
Absolutely. You're hitting it on the nail. And I want to say this real quick to Grace Levy. Says, but when I'm praying, I have an issue, or I go in between Jesus and Yeshua, because as a prayer warrior and intercessor, I seen the power behind the name Jesus. Nobody kicked my butt. Let me say this. You didn't see the power of the literal name Jesus. What you saw is the power of the one that is the bearer of the name. Because that name Jesus, guess what? You have people that have the name Jesus. The power is not in the literal transliterated name. And actually, the power is not in the actual ancient name, which is not Yeshua, it's Yahawashah. Right? Because Yeshua, where do you see Yah in Yeshua? Yay. That's Greek. EA, right? So you see yay, EA, because they didn't have a Yah sound. But my point that I'm making is there, even in the time of the ancient Israelites, even the name Yahawashah was a popular name. You have what's his name? Now I can't think of his name now.
Joshua?
No. That Israel voted to let go.
But
now I can't think of his name.
Barabbas.
Barabbas had the same name as Hamashiach. Barabbas had the same exact name as Hamashiach. So what was the distinction between the two? It was the reputation, the person who bear the name, the bearer of the name. One was a murderer and the other one was a restorer of life. So it wasn't the literal name that you saw power in. It's the one that you praying to, that's according to the reputation of what you see in the scriptures.
And
so I want to make sure go ahead, my brother.
Because I've heard you say that many times, but in my own personal walk, I could say the same thing she said, that I saw things in my life that when I was using that name, that happened. But when y'all opened my eyes and said, even a mother knows the utterance of a baby. Although the baby won't pronounce a name or won't even say what it needs, a mother know what cries what cry.
And that's the point I'm going at.
Yeah, Yah knows when we're called on him. He and in fact, I had to share this with some people today. Even while we were in disobedience, he was bringing us to him, to this awakening, and he knew who had the heart to look past the delusion that we're in. So once we become into the awakening, then we say, oh, that's what it is. And when I grew up, I learned my mother's name.
And here's the kicker. It wasn't the name Jesus that you really saw the power in. It was the reputation of the one that carried that name. Because Sham means name, right? Transliterates to name, right? Yes. When we ask, it says, ask him my what? My name. Is not referring to the literal name. It's referring to his reputation. If someone putting their name on the line is not necessarily their literal name, they're putting their what? Reputation on the line. So the word name, Sham, transliterates to reputation. It transliterates to fame. So it's not the literal name because so many people have the name, the literal name. And so many people have abused the literal name. Where's the power? The power is actually the bearer of the name. So to your point, right? You had your parent, right? Other people have your name. But your child knows you because of what? Not just your literal name, but the reputation behind it, because you are the bearer of that name. Daryl is not a unique name. Guess what? My name, Kelly. I was surprised to meet. I thought it was a unique name. And I saw a number of people that had the name Kelly Richardson, from being dark melanated like me to being Caucasian. Kelly Richardson. But guess what? It's the bearer of the name. That's the point that I want to make from a Hebraic school of thought. It's not the literal name, it's the bearer of the name. When we start really dealing with Christ, because we do everything in whose name? His name. But it's just not a literal thing. But to your point, I understand, because hey, I used to feel that way until I started when I really start understanding this, and it's not even from a Hebrew school of thought. It's just when I started really, studying these different names, and when I realized what's his name? Barabbas had the same name. And guess what? I realized, like, wait a minute, the power is not in the literal name, it's in the bearer of the name.
Exactly.
When you start studying, guess what? Christ's name was popular. During that time, many was calling their sons Yahweh Shah, anticipating that their son could be chosen to be the Messiah.
Amen.
So that's the point. I'll just, and I when I say I completely understand, but I'm here to say that, and I'm not trying to give any pushback, but the power is of course, I'm not saying their literal name is not important, but the power is actually the one who carried the name. That's that. You can't make it any player. Like I said, the perfect example, you had two that had the same name on trial. One was a murderer, and the other was what? The bringer of life. Who did Israel scream for to let go? The murderer.
Exactly. They called on the wrong Jesus.
Calling on the wrong. Exactly. So that's what I want to say to you is, Grace, I just want to say that to you. Don't put a burden on yourself like that.
Yes.
It's not that deep. That's the point. That's the reason why I went here. It's not even, if you're struggling with that, you shouldn't struggle. It shouldn't even be a struggle. Now, for me, as Berean Scholar pointed out, when you're young in this walk, the Most High know who you're praying to. But guess what? As you get more mature and you start understanding what he has done for you, you want to call him by his real name. If someone blessed me, I want to know their name. Hey, what's your name? I've had people that blessed me, told me their name, and it was a nickname. I said, look, I understand that's your nickname, but I want to know your real name, because I want to truly honor you for what you had done for me. So guess what? It's the same with Christ. Christ laid down his life. Why would you want to just stay in a comfortable place calling him a name that we know didn't exist in the ancient times? We understand that we're babes, like Pastor Daryl pointed out. When you're babes, we all know our child's name. I mean, who our child is calling. But guess what? When they got to a certain age, you made sure they knew your real name. Now, guess what? They didn't call you by your real name. They always defaulted to what? Dad, mom.
Your title. Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So I just wanted to share that. I know we kind of divvied off a little bit, but I saw that comment. I just had to respond
That's
to.
good
But let's
teaching,
get back
Pastor.
to this, family.
That's good teaching.
So when we look at Bragi, look, going back, Idon, it says Idon name, possibly a feminine forerunner of Odin, could have been derived from Greece mountain shrine Ida, sacred to Rhea, or her alter ego Hera, who kept the apples of immortality that gave the Olympian gods eternal life. Idun was also said to have invented the runic alphabet. Look, peep this out, family. Her consort, Bragi, became the greatest bard because she engraved the magic rune on his tongue. Okay? All right. Now, I'm going to show you something here that's going to really knock this thing out the park. What are magic runes? Right? What are magic runes? Let me show you the source here. Right? Runic magic. Look at here. Magic runes. According to the sages, now this is dealing with the Norse, runic inscriptions held magic powers. With the aid of inscriptions, you could predict the future, protect a person against misfortune, imbue objects with different qualities, or you could write down conjurations, curses, and spells. Most runic inscriptions that have been found, however, contain more down-to-earth messages. These have been carved for everyday use. And the sages, it's dealing with the Norse, we hear how runes and magical words were used in relation to health. And eagles, excuse me if I butcher this, Scholar Grimson's saga, the Skald Eagle or Egel uses runes to cure a young girl who has been enchanted by false runes. So we see that there's what? Positive runes according to them, and what? False runes. There are good runes, in other words, good spells, and there are what? Bad spells. So it says in Egel carves new runes, places them under her pillow, and as a result, the girl is healed. The moral of the story is that runes and words can be dangerous in the wrong hands. So what did we just do here? We just proved that good spell comes from the Norse. It existed way before this word gospel or Godspell was even created. That's why we say culture predates dictionaries. All right. But look at here. It gives an example here. For example, the inscription on the Galvin drum, and that's what you see here. The Galvin drum stone. These are the spells here. These are runic magic spells. Right? It says contains a warning to anyone who would dare to damage or move the stone. Okay? All right. So Ego uses good runes or good spells to cure a young girl who has been enchanted by bad runes or bad spells. So Bragi is also a wizard, right? He's referred to as being a wizard. Now I know I'm going to look, Berean scholar mode because I was going to say geek mode. I don't use that anymore because of what geek really means. But I'm going to go like the Bereans. I'm going in Berean mode, right? Right, Berean scholar, right? So
getting deep in it. So
look at here, runes. The runic alphabet seems to have been invented by the wise women in the northern Europe, excuse me. Runic letters appear first in the hands of the goddess Idun, keeper of the gods' magic apples of immortality. She gave runes to her consort Bragi by engraving them on his tongue. Thus, he acquired the magic words and became the first wizard king of skaldic poetry. Odin received knowledge of the runes by his self-sacrifice hanging on the gallows tree, Yggdrasil, for 9 nights. All right, not reading all of this, but the key is showing you guys that the origin of when we start dealing with good spells or bad spells, right? And as we're dealing with here, we're dealing with runes, all right, dealing with Bragi, right? Dealing with what was branded, so to speak, on his tongue. So Bragi the God, right? He was a deity. Bragi the God of spells and enchantments is connected to Odin, in which Odin rituals are based on afflictions and good spells, right? Man, I'm giving you a lot here. So Odin, the so-called all-father, called God or Got of the hanged, because the tree of his sacred groves at Uppsala were laden with hanged human sacrifices. All right. Even as late as the 10th century, each victim, drama or drama, recapitulated the death and rebirth of Odin himself. You see where we're going at, right? That word Got and Gater deals with what? Deities among the Norse religion that dies. So why are we referring to the Father, Yahweh, as God or Goder? Or anyway, let's continue, family. I know there's a lot here. So the Greek word for drama and sorrow is Odin, right? Odin. Look at here. Look at what it's look at what you see here, family. Odin, right? The beginning of sorrows, right? That's what you see in Matthew chapter 24. The beginning of what? Sorrows. You see the word Odin. And I just proved the connection between the Norse religion and the Greek religion. Did I not, Berean scholar?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
We made the connection here. Still dealing with the Proto-Indo-Europeans. And all of this falls up under that. So pain, sorrow, travail, intolerable anguish in reference to the dire calamities precede the advent of the Messiah. So bringing this all together, the words Gouda, in other words, God, right? Godads, excuse me, I'm butchering it from the Norse, means good. And then we see God means well. So we see, again, Gouda, right? Or good, right? Or got, or either way. Then you see Godaz or goats, right? Which means good. And you see got, which means well. But the key here, they're all similarity is baked into the language family's architecture, right? While the roots are technically separated, they have shared a phonological overlap since the Proto-Germanic periods that makes them sound like near twins, or should we say triplets, in almost every descendant language, right? So the connection I'm seeing highlighted highlights an interesting modern overlap between ancient etymology and the current digital warfare. Now, why did I bring all of this up together with what we see with the icons here when we start dealing with the so-called Iranian Lego videos? Why? While the Lego brand was originally named for a simple Danish phrase, its recent use in Iranian propaganda creates a new, darker layer of the meaning by invoking powers. In other words, powerful political and religious symbols, because that word "got" also G-O-T-T means to invoke. Who are you invoking? That's not connected to the Most High. So God, G-O-T-T, means invoke. The Catholic Church even acknowledges that. So when you're invoking something, you're invoking dead things. You're invoking what? Deities that die. So when we deal with these Lego propaganda videos, right? Lego, right? Remember, we just dealt with that leg got. So we can say that is they're invoking. What are they invoking? They're invoking a response from our community and others' community, trying to what? Give this impression that they understand our plight, that they're speaking up for each and every one of us. They're going to defend those that can't defend themselves. Have they been defending us right now with the DEI attacks and all of that?
No.
Are they defending us with right now? You see, gentrification is escalated in New York. You have families that are being hijacked by the 1948ers, being kicked out of their homes because of the illegal practices that they're doing. Do we see them standing in the gap for our people there? Why didn't they start doing these propaganda videos 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
Doing all the shootings and everything.
So with this spell casting, why haven't we seen, why haven't these videos been labeled or flagged as anti-Semitic? Why, family? Come on, family. We got to be real with this. Why haven't we seen these videos labeled and flagged as anti-Semitic? Why? Because the United States is in war with them. The Israelis are in war with them, and we see these propaganda videos all over the internet. But there's something that I noticed, and we're going to get there here. I know you know where I'm going at with the Berean scholar, because you and I talked about this offline.
But you asked the question a little while ago about why are we using words like gata, things to call it provoking the dead? Why are we doing this, all this stuff? Why are they twisting, using the gospel? And it goes back to the very first word you gave the definition of mourning. Mourning. What was the root of that? To be cut off. They want us cut off from the Most High. Those words cut us off from the action power, who He is.
Man, you hit it right on the nail. Because then the Most High said we are not to invoke any other deity.
Exactly.
So when you say God, you are invoking something that's not of Him.
That's Psalms 83:4. They try to cut us off from being a nation.
And family, before we wrap up, remind me, Berean scholar, I will pull out the source showing how the Roman Catholic Church put out an edict making it clear that they were not to use the Father's name at all, to use the word God and Lord. Am I right, Berean scholar?
Exactly right.
So why haven't these videos, right? Why haven't these videos been labeled and flagged as anti-Semitic? What is anti-Semitic, right? What is it? Right? Anti-Semitism, right? This is according to, I believe this is from the Britannica online, right? Look at what it says. It says anti-Semitism. It goes on to say hostility or discrimination against Jews as a religious or racial group. When did so-called Jews become a racial group? When did we know that they're a religious group, but when did they become a racial group? They're not recognized as a race, especially in this country. The term anti-Semitism was coined in 1879 by the German agitator Wilhelm Marr to designate the anti-Jewish campaigns underway in Central Europe at that time. Although the term now has wide currency, it is a misnomer since it implies a discrimination against all Semites. Arabs and other peoples are also Semites, and yet they are not targets of anti-Semitism as it is usually understood. The term is especially inappropriate as a label for the anti-Jewish prejudices, statement, or actions of Arabs or other Semites. Nazi anti-Semitism, which culminated in the Holocaust, had a racist dimension in that it targeted Jews because of their supposed biological characteristics. Oh my goodness. Is that a red flag right there? It says it targeted them because of what? Their supposed biological characteristics. So even in this definition, they're given a breadcrumb, right? Casting doubts that these people are not even who they are. Because supposed, now, will you build your career off of something or trust your entire livelihood on a supposed?
Nope.
Berean scholar?
No way. No way. That's nothing absolute about that. Well, it's supposed to be.
And speaking of what you said, just what you mentioned, here's Cambridge. Look at what supposed means. According to what someone told you, or according to what is believed by many people to be true.
Sound like somebody else we knows. Many people are saying.
Exactly. So what is Semitic, family? What is Semitic? Is there a legal definition of anti-Semitic? It's all over the place. It's an open working document. The only law that you see that they can constantly change without having to go through Congress. But look at here. What is the definition of anti-Semitism according to the Jewish community? Now, I'm not going to read all of this, but it gives some key information. Let me go here. Let me read some key information here for the sake of time. It says calling for aiding or justifying the killing or harming of Jews. Okay. Making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews, Jews as such, or the powers of Jews as a collective, especially but not exclusively. The myth about a world Jewish conspiracy, or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or societal institutions. Now, Kanye West was called an anti-Semitic person because of what? Especially this entry right here. So make a note of that, family. So making, again, mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the powers of Jews as a collective, especially but not exclusively, the myth about a Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, controlling economy, controlling government or societal institutions. So I ask you guys again, why do we see these videos being viral all over social media? If we know that just right here, according to this, those videos should be flagged as what? Anti-Semitic. Am I right, Berean Scholar?
Exactly. Everything else that's on social media that says anything negative about a certain people, it's flagged, demonetized, strikes are put against them, are they taken down?
Now, family, let's listen to Kanye West's own words, because remember, he was flagged as being anti-Semitic, right? So he began to read this and share that he didn't know that what he was saying was considered anti-Semitic. Listen to his words, family. Here it is, his own words.
I mean, anti-Semitic statements are never good for anybody, right? It's kind of like being anti-black.
But, it's really interesting. I didn't realize that I could be considered anti-Semitic till I read one of the definitions of anti-Semitism. Look at this. The definition says, making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, such as, especially, but not exclusively. This sounds like I'll let them go by. What was that? All right, so it says, think about it, that sounds like the type wording that's in the contracts, right?
Indeed.
Okay, it says, such as, especially, but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions.
Isn't that what you said? That Jews run everything?
Yeah, but that actually is considered to be anti-Semitic. I didn't realize that it was anti-Semitic to say, hey, I have a Jewish attorney, I have a Jewish record label, I have a Jewish contractor, I have a
Do you
Jewish...
regret your statements? Or the statements you think you should be walking back? I mean, considering...
What do you mean walking back?
Well, backing up off of them. I mean, the thing is, you've lost a lot of endorsements. People are dropping you. You're getting, vilified. I mean, you might think you're right, but I think, there's a whole world out there that's condemning you for what you said.
Okay, so this right here is a chart of Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, ABC News, CBS News, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC Entertainment, Google, what else do we have? Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook, Huffington Post, Yahoo, Marvel, Hulu, Cosmopolitan, Time, Touchstone, Associated Press, Pixar, Miramax, HBO, New York Post, LucasArts, MSNBC, DreamWorks Animation. Now, the thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish at these companies.
Did he hit him hard? And at the end, I didn't play the full because at the end he said, "Is this the reason why they all came together against you?" The reporters changed their tone. They were kind of aggressive initially, right? But when he broke it down,
he laid it down.
He laid it down, family. And the other thing I want to point out, because I know whenever I played Kanye's West clip, and he says the 12 lost tribes of Judah, family, I understand what he means. Because all of the tribes are not identified correctly. When he says the 12 lost tribes, he's specifically saying that because all 12 tribes are not identified correctly, starting with Judah and the Levites.
Exactly.
Are they identified correctly? So many would try to correct him. Oh, he's wrong. He's saying the 12 tribes of Judah. And I understand because he's using that word Jew and he's using the word Judah synonymously, just like how many do today with that word Jew with all of Israel. But when he says 12 tribes, lost tribes, he's saying that all the 12 tribes have not been properly identified, including what they call themselves identifying today. Any comments, Berean scholar?
Yeah, that's plain because what we are and who we are. He still used that word of confusion, but you're right. He was laying it plain, and I love the fact that he had stuff that people can look at. He brought it to their face.
Exactly.
He didn't say it. He didn't say it. It's written here.
Exactly. And see, he was reading from this document, family. He was quoting this document when he was responding to the reporters. But then it goes on to say, accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Jewish person or group, the state of Israel, or even for acts committed by non-Jews. Is this like a tongue twister way? You can't make this stuff up, family. I'm not going to read all of this, but another key point here, accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nations. Now, I played clips, I didn't upload it here, of Nancy Pelosi saying that her commitment is to Jerusalem, that the United States can fall apart, but nothing is going to change her commitment to Jerusalem. You guys know I used to play that all the time. You had politicians literally committing themselves to Israel over this country. Right? Remember this, Berean scholar? Let me play this real quick. You guys probably remember this.
And Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
A partnership between Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Friends of Zion Museum led to the unprecedented visit.
It's the first time in history the State of Israel has officially partnered with 1,000 strategic pastors to commission them as ambassadors to combat anti-Semitism and reach the youth of their generation.
Dr. Mike Evans says Israel's fight is not just on the battlefield.
Right now there's an ideological war that Israel's losing. So they need the evangelicals, they need the Zionists to fight an ideological war.
One of the goals of this gathering is to strengthen Christian support during a time of growing global anti-Semitism. They say the pulpit must speak louder than the propaganda.
The largest ever U.S. delegation to Israel just took place.
250 state legislators from all 50 states arrived Monday for an event called 50 States, One Israel. They planted 50 trees at a site of the October 7th attacks and met with Israeli leaders. Netanyahu's office called it the biggest bipartisan visit of American lawmakers to Israel. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar urged them to push anti-BDS laws in their states, which are meant to discourage boycotts of Israel. So far, 38 states have already adopted such measures. Sa'ar described BDS as part of a coordinated global effort against Israel, saying the best response has been anti-BDS legislation. But the trip's timing sparked controversy. The very next day, the UN ruled for the first time that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, while Israel relaunched its ground invasion of Gaza City. And despite its scale and timing, this massive visit has barely been covered by international media. Only local Israeli outlets reported on it, leaving many to question why such a major event went largely unnoticed.
So, family, you see this happening before our eyes. Placing a foreign nation priorities over this country. You have politicians that have been sworn in to protect this nation. They are placing a foreign country's interests over the nation that elected them into office. But if you say that, accuse a Jewish citizen of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nation, that is anti-Semitism. All right. So what is the definition of anti-Semitism according to the Jewish community? Right. And again, here it is. You know, well, I'm not going to go into all of it, but you guys get the gist of it. But the key is, are these comments, this is what I want to point out, are these comments considered anti-Semitic? Remember, Kanye West made this statement 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago. I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew. Also, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who opposes your agenda. Now, on the surface, we got to admit, when he says, when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3, you know, you can't say that, right? You know, regardless of any community, you cannot say that. DEFCON 3 on the Jewish people. Am I right, Berean Scholar?
Yeah, that's
that's
the way he overstepped.
Right? Even though the next day, many people don't know that he apologized for that. He went on, what's that, the Drink Champs or whatever? He went on their show and gave clarity on there, saying that no, what he meant was, he was addressing the people that had, like his personal trainer, who is basically an agent from the 1948 is by way of Canada, and he apologized to that, to that community, those who he offended. But nevertheless, that's a red flag. You can't get around it, right? So what happened to him? He got blackballed. He getting blackballed right now. Even after he came up with apologies, statements, he got banned from UK because they thought that they could control him. They thought that he was down. They thought they had him down. He released an album that sold millions of copies, and he performed and selling out concerts. So when he was scheduled to go over to UK, guess what? The 1948ers, all of them got together to have him banned. Over what? His statement that he made. Now, come on, family. The propaganda videos are saying far more than what he's saying. They are actually at war with him. So how is it that a country that is actually at war with the 1948ers in this country as well get to have their material plastered all over social media, but Kanye West even apologized multiple times for what he had said about that community, right? Even wrote a letter. The whole letter was questionable, but he did. He apologized multiple times. And he
He had
is
a set
still
down,
being what? Blackballed.
he had
For
a
a Berean
set down
scholar.
meet. He had a set down meeting with a rabbi.
Exactly. He don't have the power or capabilities that the Iranians have. So how is it that the Iranians can have all their propaganda videos all over social media, but he can't? We are flagged.
Mm. Come on.
And we're not even nowhere in the hemisphere of what Kanye West, even with his comments. We're not saying anything like that. We're just teaching the truth of who is the true people and who are not the true people. So what is the definition of anti-Semitism according to the 1948ers? Right? Again, making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, especially but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. All right. So Kanye West made it clear he didn't know that. He said, that he was considered anti-Semitic by his comments, right? So was Kanye West, was Ye or Ye right? Right? Was Ye right? Was he correct about who controls the media? Now, I'm not going to read this whole article by the LA Times. This confirms it as well. Who runs Hollywood? I'm not going to read all of this for the sake of time, but you guys, you get the gist of it. I've done this a number of times, and they confirm. Here's the key point of it. It says here, pointing out who controls these major news organizations or these entertainment organizations or media. And he read this article highlights some of what Kanye West highlights. It says New Corp president Peter Chernin, Jewish. Paramount Pictures chairman Brad Gray, Jewish. Walt Disney Company chief executive Robert Iger, Jewish. Sony Pictures chairman Michael Linton, surprise Dutch Jewish. Warner Brothers chairman Barry Myers, Jewish. CBS Corp's chief executive Leslie Moonves, so Jewish his great uncle was the first prime minister of Israel. MGM chairman Harry Sloan, Jewish. NBC Universal chief executive Jeff Zucker, mega Jewish. And this person that wrote this article, Joel Stein, is a comedian who is from their community. And he says here, the Jews are so dominant, I had to scour the trades to come up with 6 Gentiles in high positions at entertainment companies. When I called them to talk about their incredible advancements, 5 of them refused to talk to me, apparently out of fear of insulting Jews. The 6th AMC president, Charlie Collier, turned out to be Jewish. The Jews are so dominant. Oh, no, that's a duplicate right there. As a proud Jew, I want America to know about our accomplishments. Yes, we control Hollywood. Without us, you'd be flipping between the 700 Club and Davy and Goliath on TV all day. So he makes it clear they control it, right? So was Kanye West, was he correct about who controls the media? Remember this Berean scholar, Israel? Right, this article here with how Israel is purposely controlling AI. We had a discussion on this. While not a direct partnership with OpenAI or Chat GPT, the strategy relies on flooding the online information ecosystem that AI system draws from, with explicit goals of steering how future AI responses are generated. Israel signed $6 million contract training ChatGPT to be more pro-Israel. And we witnessed that firsthand. Look at here. According to these reports, Clock Tower X was contracted to build new websites designed to influence how artificial intelligence systems, including ChatGPT, frame issues by training them on large data sets. The firm allegedly used a tool called Market Brew AI, reportedly owned by Market Brew to adjust algorithms and boost the visibility of content online.
The purpose of this, according to the reporting, is to push certain narratives more prominently online. Here's another one. YouTube continues to push dangerous videos to users susceptible to extremism. White supremacy report finds February 15, 2021. But look at what it says. We have clear policies that prohibit hate speech and harassment on YouTube and terminated over 235,000 channels in the last quarter for violating those policies. YouTube's Joseph said, beyond removing content since 2019, we've also limited the reach of content that does not violate our policies, but brushes up against the line by making sure our system are not widely recommending it to those not seeking it. Why it has taken one of the world's largest companies so long to react to the growing problem of homegrown extremism perplexes researchers. But here's the key, family. After an outcry from advertisers in 2017, YouTube banned ads from appearing alongside content that promotes hate or discrimination or disparages protected groups. YouTube limited recommendations on those videos and disabled features such as commenting and sharing, but it didn't remove. But the kicker that I want to get here is here. Last year, YouTube made changes to its recommendation features to reduce the visibility of what it calls borderline content, videos that brush up against the terms of service, but do not break them. So what this is saying that what we've been experiencing, right, Berean Scholar,
Yes,
they've been purposely flagging us, even though we're not saying anything that's even borderline. But if they determine that you are borderline because we're talking about identity, we're talking about who's the real people, we're talking about those things, guess what? They can apply filters to your channel to now it removes you from the algorithms.
Yes.
You're experiencing this now. You see how I'm experiencing, and you talked about when I first suddenly started getting 15 to 20, at least 15 to 20 flags a day. Am I right, Berean Scholar?
Yes,
and that went on for about 3 weeks, right when my numbers start really skyrocketing. And then immediately I started getting these red flags. These strikes. Not strikes, but flags. And that occurred for 3 weeks? And then suddenly it stopped.
And I'm watching it happen right now as we speak. I've been monitoring the numbers on your end, and I did a sub-percent on my end, and they're very, very low compared to what usually we get.
Exactly. And family, you guys experienced it. You don't get notifications. They don't put you on the recommendations. That's calculated. They apply these filters to it. So that's why I'm bringing this up, family. Who controls the media? Why is it that we see these videos that's technically breaking their so-called anti-Semitic laws, but they're going viral?
Millions upon millions of hits.
Now, oh, you can't hear this.
Our sound was playing.
Yeah, because I didn't share the audio in this video. But family, if you guys remember this, remember when we did the video about Donald Trump came up with an executive order immediately after he got into the White House, banning tribes or banning nations from coming into the United States. Right? That's what this video is about. And the key is Executive Order 14161, Section 2 and 3. This proclamation has to do with identity management, right? That when I saw that inside this executive order, I was like, wait a minute, identity management? Banning these countries connected to identity management. They know who we are, family. So President Donald Trump restricts the entry of foreign nations or nationals to protect the United States of foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. President Trump's executive order 14161, issued on January 20th, 2025. So that's what a little more than a week, 2 weeks of him being sworn in. He immediately started going after our communities, right? I'm not going to read all of this, family, but this is the executive order. These are the areas that they focused on. As you see here, for example, you see, let me see here. Do I have it here? Yeah, these 12 countries, when you see Afghanistan, Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. And the question that you have to ask is, what triggered it? Why these nations? Right? This executive order, when I did the research at that time, was supposedly triggered by the situation down in Boulder, Colorado. Remember that, Berean scholar? The situation down there involving Mohammed Sabri Solomon. Right? So when I did some research on him, look at this here. Solomon was born in Egypt. And he moved 3 years ago to Colorado Springs, which would have been 4 years ago now, where he lived with his wife and 5 children, according to state court documents. He previously spent 17 years living in Kuwait. That's Saudi Arabia territory. So how is it that they banned all these nations, but they didn't ban Egypt? They didn't ban Kuwait.
Exactly.
The very areas that this man was supposedly from, and when you start really pulling back the layers on this guy was connected to, you know who. I'll leave it at that. He was connected to you know who. Just like the questionable shooting that occurred in Australia. Right? Just like the questionable rallies that was happening in Iran. Who is connected to those things? Anyway. So make it make sense, family. We got to make this make sense. What do this have to do with identity? What does this have to do with identity? Egypt and Kuwait is not on the list, which confirms Solomon's firebombing serves ploy to push a political narrative. Right? And going back here, I'm not going to go too deep here, but again, why is it that he's highlighting these territories here? Republic of Congo? Come on, family. Sudan? All right. What is your identity? How important is it to know these things? Why is Sudan on the restricted list of nations? What is the meaning of Sudan? You guys already know this. Sudan, right? Sudan, as we see as Sioux, potentially, actually, this is the kicker. Thus, Sudan is interpreted as distant Judah or foreign Judah, implying a diaspora or exile population of the tribe of Judah. So we see his Sioux potentially derived from the word foreign, the word that means foreign or distance, Dan or Dan, a biblical tribe, or shorthanded for Yahwadah, Judah, in ancient usage. So again, Sudan is interpreted as distant Judah or foreign Judah, implying a diaspora or exile population of the tribe of Judah. So that name Sudan is a what? Shemitic word, as we see, pointing, connecting to who? The ancient Israelites. And why is that? Why is that important to know? I just explained it to you. Identity is everything. Why did they call it identity management? All right. I'm not going to get into all of this, but the key point that I want to get to now, according to what we laid out, Berean scholar, the image you see on the screen,
Wow.
This is from some of their videos. Kanye West was banned, right? We're being shadow banned.
Right.
Does this or do this not fall up under the category of anti-Semitic according to what we read?
If that's not anti-Semitic, it's no such thing. There's no word, because look at all the stars. Netanyahu sitting in his chair. Yeah.
All right, family, you guys are watching. I'm going somewhere with this family, right? Because there's a reason. Why?
Look behind Netanyahu. Look who's behind Netanyahu.
Exactly. You see it. Let's go to another image, family. Let's go to another image. All right, let's go to another image. You know what I mean? These are different images. And I want to say fair use, because Berean scholar and myself had to deal with some situations here where our channels got flagged. All because of what? Critiquing the videos.
Exactly.
If we did not critique the videos, guess what, family? We wouldn't have got the red flags. Am I right? And the person even made statements. One of the individuals made statements under one of the videos that we did critiquing the video. Multiple videos that was generated by these supposed Iranians, as well as those that are trying to ride the wave.
Right. And if so, those you knows and recognize these videos are these shots. The name of this actual video in itself will fall under that character of anti-Semitic.
Exactly. But these videos are going viral, family. See, I can't even play any portion of the video, because what we're discussing here, guess what's going to happen? They will get flagged. Am I right, Berean scholar?
You're right. Flag or strike your channel.
And Lego, they cannot have a patent on Lego, but yet they allowed to be protected, as if they have that they can flag someone's channel for even using an image of their AI generated video. Everything about those videos is AI generated, from the vocals, the rappers, all of that is AI generated.
Yeah.
And one of the individuals, and if we have time, I'll share with you guys. I even invited him onto this channel to explain his video, being very nice to him. And what happened? He declined. If you are a starving artist, right, and you putting your information out there, and you hear someone that you believe is not properly representing your video, you're going to do what? You're going to jump on it, because every bit of publicity is what? Good publicity. That gives you the opportunity to bring more attention to your music. It's not like we have a tiny channel here. Berean scholar, any comments?
And what are you saying? And I listened to one of you guys in your chat that said, my fair Yah, he's deleting chat and he's deleting TikTok. That's what they want. They want truth off the channels. They want us to get off the channel. They want truth off the channel, but we have to stand and keep spreading the truth.
Exactly. Because see, the makers of these videos, especially that one person that called herself flagging us, and actually it was multiple people that flagged us when I actually looked at it, right? This person, if he have conversation, that means that he has to identify himself. That means you get to hear his true voice. Because again, all these videos that you're hearing, including Babylon or whatever, those are AI generated videos, AI generated raps, AI generated vocals. All of the entire video is AI generated. Now, you may hear an accent that will sound very strange to you. I'm just saying. In any comments, Berean scholar?
You know why I'm laughing, because you might hear an accent that would sound not familiar to you, but not looking like the picture on his profile.
Exactly. Come on now. Is this the picture, the poster picture of what they deem to be anti-Semitic, by saying that they control government societies?
I love what Elder Batyal said. It's the hate that mutates, and this is a mutated hate.
And calculated right at our community.
Exactly. Very calculated.
Because again, family, just off of the anti-Semitic laws that they defined, we should not be seeing any of these videos. They should be flagged. They should not even be online. Oh man, I didn't even see these super chats. My apologies, family. Blame Berean Scholar. Got to blame someone. All right, real quick. Let me see here. Shalima Yahoo. Shalom. Do we know who the real Persians are? I did a lesson on that, and we could touch on that. And I may do something tomorrow or tomorrow night. And I know Berean Scholar probably have something scheduled tomorrow, so we may do something tomorrow night, and we could revisit this here. But we already covered that in a discussion that we did. Didn't we cover that, Berean Scholar? I believe we covered that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, because it was in the lesson that got us in trouble.
Yeah, that's the lesson did that. Yeah, you actually absolutely right. That's what got us in trouble, right? So we'll touch on that. Maybe before the weekend is out. Great question. Let's see here. Just saying to you, 100%. Thank you for the love and support. Really appreciate it. Let's see here. Bert Rand. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, but thank you for the super chat, and apologies for the delay at acknowledging these super chats here. Thank you, We Woke Now, for exposing them. Lizette Clark, absolutely. Thank you for the love and support. And as you guys know, when you're standing on the truth, it's a hard. It could be very hard. It could be very challenging, especially when you see that this agenda is so clear, it's obvious, right? Especially what we have gone through and currently dealing with. So Emphaya, excuse me Emphaya, excuse me if I'm butchering it, Emphaya or Emphaya. Thank you for the super sticker. And family, let's show love and support for everyone that contributed tonight. Really, thank you guys again. You guys help us be able to do what we do. Thank you again. All right. So family, as you see here, these images, according to the baseline that was established of what anti-Semitism is, we should not be seeing these videos. So why are we seeing them? This is when you start understanding this machine. I saw an interview on CNN that they were supposedly interviewing some of the creators of some of these videos. And they are supposedly a young Gen Z creators in Iran, right? Iran has the entire internet restricted. But in order for them to be able to post anything, they have to get special permission and have their company classified as a news organization, right? According to them. So that allows them to be able to get to the internet. That still doesn't mean, like they said, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? because we all still have access to the internet. But how is it that their videos are not being restricted? I understand 1 or 2 videos may get passed, may get by, but once everyone catches on to it, no, they're not being flagged. See, even that interview was very suspect for me. It was a lot of red flags. But let's just go off of, let's just say if this person said, this group says that they are completely correct, their videos still should be flagged on social media. I can't even post my own videos on TikTok. Am I right, Berenska? I can't even post on TikTok.
That's right.
People got more videos of clips of from We Woke Now on TikTok than what I have. I got millions of views on TikTok. That's not even uploaded. Videos that's not even uploaded by me. So family, if we're getting watched so hard, so heavily, why is it that these videos are on the internet saturating it? Now, I got proof, family. I have proof. Right? This is the creator of that New Babylon video, right? And this person posted in the comment section. Am I right, Berenska Scholar? I'm not making this up. It's still there. He said this video that he made, New Babylon, isn't about celebrating. It isn't about celebrating. It's about educating. If you're using the books not considered canon, you will know the deeper meanings within the actual videos. This is not deceptive. It's the wake-up call to all nations, right? So he said, if you're using the books not considered canon, you will know the deeper meanings within the actual video. What books is he referring to? He makes it clear here. He says here, First Maccabees, even though he misquotes it, right? He says he posts First Maccabees, right? I'm not going to read all of that, right? But it's dealing with Simeon or Simon within this text, right? Of course, you see the word pyramid, but he's building what? He put together structures, burials for his family members. Now we see the word pyramid, and many will start thinking of what? The pyramids of Giza and some of these big, large structures. That's not what he built. These items don't even exist anymore, right? But nevertheless, let's fast forward. He claims since Simon built the pyramids, therefore pyramids equal Hebrews, and therefore American pyramids are the same. But ultimately, to summarize what he believes that the original Egypt is here in the United States. The original Babylon, he believes that the United States is the original Egypt. Am I right, Berenska Scholar?
That's what he stated. That's what he's trying to get to.
Right? Let's fast forward, family. He even said, go look at the book of Enoch. And tell me I'm wrong about all these locations that tell you where overseas are in fact actually here in the Americas. So he's making it clear. Everything like Egypt, Babylon, all those civilizations that have been proven to be where they are, he's saying that they are here in the United States. Look at what he says here. All the temples that are Egyptian are in the Grand Canyon. There's not a shred of proof of that.
But
you won't see Egyptian hieroglyphs there.
But the mountains are proof against it.
Exactly. So he's saying Enoch gives the true location of biblical lands, and those lands are actually in America. Therefore, the initial Egyptian temples and pyramids are in places like the Grand Canyon. That's what he's saying. He's using the book of Enoch to promote the flipped doctrine. In other words, everything you see over there is actually over here. All right. Let me see if I have anything else from him. I didn't put it up here. I was going through the book of Enoch, but I have more information. I have actually documents or screenshots of our interaction. Right? So I asked him to come on. Let's have a discussion online because I was gonna talk to him about this, give him clarity. Guess what? He turned it down. He gave some insults there too. Am I right, Berean Scholar? He insulted me.
Yep.
But I was hoping that being nice to him or this person or group, we don't know who this person is, would trigger them to say, come on the channel. So what ended up happening, family? Berean Scholar got strikes applied to his channel. So when he told me that who did it and why, I said, okay, I had warnings or whatever, and I knew if they put strikes on his channel, my channel was getting ready to get strikes. So I took the short clip down. And guess what happened a day later? The 1948ers apply a strike to my channel based off of the Noahide videos that I have posted with explanation. Oh my goodness. Go ahead, Berean Scholar.
So you saying they couldn't get you for the thing they got me for, so they had to go and search something else to get you.
Come on, family.
That's been on your channel for 2 years or more.
Exactly.
Does that seem suspicious?
Come on, family. That's very suspect.
Come on.
This person who didn't want to have a live video discussion with me, because then they would have to reveal themselves even just by their voice, even if they don't show their pictures. Then couldn't put a strike on the channel, but mysteriously out of nowhere, the video that I did on the Noahide, did a whole discussion on it. You used the video multiple times. Now suddenly I got a strike applied to the channel. I haven't had a strike in about 2 years now. Been on the road. Normally, every time you turn around, I was getting strikes. I couldn't go live. You guys remember, I was getting strikes pretty much almost every month. Now I have a strike applied to the channel. So they couldn't get me with what they got Berean Scholar with, because moment he told me what he had, I was like, okay. Initially, I was like, I'm going to take the video down, but I didn't. I said, I'm going to just take the clip out. Now, mind you, remember Berean Scholar? Remember when we first initially did it? I said, I purposely took the music out and everything because I didn't want to make sure it wasn't flagged. Normally, if you take the music out and you leave the acapella there, you're good. But that didn't matter.
I guess these are the rules that mutate.
Exactly. Rules that mutate. And family, I'm saying something, I'm showing you some of the obvious, but there's more I could go into, but I'm not going to get into all that. Don't believe that these videos that you see, don't get caught up with the okie doke, the obvious. Oh yeah, these are Iranians. Why is it that these videos are going through? We know the commander in thief, he thrives on the internet. Why? Who's behind him? Why haven't we seen any of these videos get strike with anti-Semitic? Anti-Semitism applied to it. How come we haven't seen any of these videos get flagged with restrictive messages? Oh, come on, family. See, as long as Berean Scholar and myself stayed inside the pocket like so many of our brothers and sisters, we were good. But because, wait a minute, these guys went against what I anticipated, and they got some kind of voice because the video got almost 20,000 views. So family, going back to the main point, we all that we have Israel. We cannot depend on any other nation. Let's stop chasing behind these other nations. Like the scripture says, do not envy our oppressors. Do not envy these other nations. These are calculated distractions. And the reason why I say be careful, family, because everything is being monitored. So if you on record trying to pump up the Iranians, do you know that this commander in chief, by the way of Doge, were able to get data that they did not have privy to because watchdogs were in place. They got rid of the watchdogs. So now they could have all your data of all what you have done on social media, anything that you have said that goes against this administration and other administrations, anything that you may have said to promote the nations that are in war with this country, they could pull all of that up on you.
Yep. And they're fighting to get your voting records.
Once they get that, then they can use that to blackmail you. That's the last thing that they want to get their hands on. So you may go on a trip to go out, let's just say go overseas, but may not be able to get back in. They can restrict your visa while you're going. That's why I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm staying in the country. As long as this guy's in office, I'm not going out the country. I don't trust it. So, family, this is why we want to have this discussion here. We want to highlight some of the things that, for me, is very obvious. And the question again is, how is it that they are able to have all this propaganda? They are in war. It's a war between the United States and the 1948ers going against the Iranians. How is it that these videos are able to be on YouTube and other social media platforms without any filters, without it being hindered, without it being monitored, restricted? How is it? You going to say something, Berean Scholar?
You when you said that, Pastor, we need to think and family think. When we see things on network, you haven't seen the effects of the bombing that Iran has been doing on Jerusalem, because Jerusalem made sure they took it off the news.
And guess what? Many of those people got vacated to Argentina.
Exactly. You haven't seen that. You haven't seen what's going on. They keep that off the news. What they want off, they keep off, and if they want you to see, that's what they plaster over. There's some things that happen tonight that you got to be suspect of.
Exactly.
Because what they want you to see is a message they try to put out. It's the same thing happened during his campaign when he was getting down his campaign. What happened? Whoops! Something happened. Attempt on him.
That was very suspect.
We got to be wise. We got to be wise, family. They're trying to manipulate, control, and keep us all in the dark.
And listen to this video as we get ready to wrap up, family. Listen to Netanyahu's own words. Listen to it here.
And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well, okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is followers. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one? That's most important. X.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To take give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpoint? Yes.
That's a meeting with content creators with large platforms. Am I right, Beran Scholar?
Yeah, he's building an army of creators that put out his propaganda.
It's right in our faces, family. It's right in our faces. So again, that's why we want to do this, to have this discussion, to share with you guys, to show you that don't get caught up in what seemed to be obvious. I don't trust it. I don't believe it. And I know because of some other things that I made notes of, that the 1948ers are in cahoots. It's all a strategy.
And just to add, Pastor, when we talk about the content creators, if you see online, and I'm seeing this more and more on Facebook, there's more Black ministers are coming out being pro-Israel.
Absolutely. 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 You hit it right on the nail.
And just let our people know that Sanballat and Tabat was Black also.
Exactly. And family, I was going to initially we were going to get into the Enoch and the Book of Jasher and those books, but we're not going to do it tonight. But we'll maybe we'll do this next weekend, to really show you guys, the discrepancies in these books, and to kind of use that to kind of address what the guy made reference to about his videos, stating that his videos are based on the Book of Enoch and Second Maccabees. I believe it was Second Maccabees. We'll deal with that another time. But Beran Scholar, I know I'm not even going to say it's getting late. It is late. But any additional things you want to highlight tonight? Anything you want to share with the people before we conclude?
Thank you for continuing to bring out the truth. All we can do is put the information out for those of you who are watchmen, who have the urgent in your inner man to stand up and say, hey, us as being the people of the Most High have to stand up and be accounted for. And we can't fall for the okie doke. We can't fall for all the trends that are going out. We got to stand up and speak the truth. And also we all coming out of a strong delusion. So we got to understand that we're learning, we're continuing to learn, but let's keep learning and changing. Don't get stuck with those things we used to do, because that's how we used to do it.
Absolutely. 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 All right, family, we're getting ready to wrap it up here. Beran Scholar, anything you got going on tomorrow? And as we wrap up, you could go ahead and give the final thoughts here as well.
Please join us tomorrow as we dive into what some of the things that our friends who call themselves who's trying to take our identity. We're gonna look at the scripture, and we're gonna look at some things that happened today that shows to answer that question: who is the real Israel? So we're gonna deal with it tomorrow, 5 Eastern Standard Time. I would love for you guys to drop by, and we're gonna shed some light on the truth.
Absolutely, absolutely. And family, I want to say this real quick, because there's always something that jump in the comment section. We're not pushing Democrats. We're not pushing Republicans. We're not pushing independents. We're not dealing with any of those politicians. So just want to make sure you guys understand, we're not in Christianity. We're not in Catholicism. We're not in any of those religious systems. But we do believe in the Father. We believe in the Son. And we believe in the Spirit of Yahweh, which that's a whole nother discussion. So we're not pushing Trinitarian doctrine. We're not pushing oneness. We're not doing any of that. But I just want to make it clear where we stand here, so that way you don't have to try to, when I say you, trolls, don't have to try to come in and try to make up a narrative that doesn't exist. Amen. So with that being said, family, in the words of Yahweh that he gave to Moses in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 to 14, when he said to Moses, he told him to give this message to the children of Israel because they were on the fence. They was on the fence of, they had a challenge of a dead end, what appeared to be a dead end in front of them. And they had the Egyptians closing in on them. And the Most High gave them this word from Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will show you today. For these Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more. In other words, they will never have power over you ever again. Yahweh shall fight for you. But guess what? You have to hold your peace. The Hebrew word that's in the text is karash, which means be quiet. Can't go back. Guess what, family? Can't stay here. We have to keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.